Hello, my name is Frauke Gallia from the Smell Gym. I want to welcome you to this video, which is going to show you how to do smell training. Now, if you haven't even set up your smell training kit yet, I invite you to go back to the video where I show you how to set up your smell training kit. In this video, we're going to go through the process of actually doing the smell training. So the first thing you want to do is find a quiet place to sit. That's so important, because you want the least amount of distractions as possible. You don't want to have a TV on, ideally no music or people talking loudly in the background. Any other senses that are going to get distracted from having you focus on your sense of smell and retraining the brain to recognize smells. Okay, so that's really important. We want to start there. And then the other thing that you want to do is get yourself set up, so that when you go through the process of smell training, it's going to be very fluid and you can really focus on the smelling and getting your brain to remember those smells. So what you want to do is you want to have a couple of things in place. Of course, you want to have your 4 jars with the 4 scents that you're going to be training. Those are the first and foremost important things. And then also, I recommend that you have a journal or a notebook with a pen. Something where you can jot down your experience each scent. And then thirdly, what's very important is that you also have some kind of interval timer or something that helps you stay on track. We're going to be doing the smell training in 20-second intervals, and you're going to be busy smelling, so you're not going to know when 20 seconds are up. So I like to use a timer on my phone. There are a lot of free apps out there that help you to set up a timer in 20-second intervals. So that's a really good idea. If you don't have that on hand, that's fine too. You can just take any timer that you can find where you can do 20 seconds at a time. All right? So once you're all set up and you have everything in front of you, let's go through the actual process of smell training. The whole thing takes 2 minutes and 20 seconds. That's about how long it takes to boil water and make a cup of tea. So it's not very long. It seems very long during the process, but it's really not. So let me take you through what's required. What you want to do is you want to kind of undo your lids a little bit. Here's one jar I have, and your jar might look different. It doesn't have to look like this. This happens to be a lemon scent. And you just want to kind of unscrew it a little bit, because that way when it's time to do the training, you can lift it more. So I'm going to unscrew all 4 of my jars, just so that they're kind of loose, but still on top, because there is scent in there. There are odors, and you want to make sure that they don't escape. So here's my taking the lid off, but I place it back on very light. All right, I've got my journal here, and I've got my pencil ready to write things down in between. I've got my timer ready to go. And then we start. The first thing we do is we set our timer for 20 seconds. We press start. And then we take the first jar, take the cap off. We close our eyes and we bring the jar to our nose and take little bunny sniffs. You don't want to inhale. You just want to take bunny sniffs. And you do this for 20 seconds. The first time you do this, I recommend that you just focus on getting the bunny sniffs down, just to take little tiny sniffs. They don't have to be big, huge inhales, because you don't want the odor to get into the lungs. This is not a lung exercise. This is simply an exercise for the nose and the brain. So when the 20 seconds are up, we just gently place that cap back on the jar, and we spend 20 seconds recording what we just experienced. So there's 2 things that we are looking to evaluate for when you're doing the smell training. One is for strength. So how much of the odor were you able to recognize? And on a scale from 0 to 5, 0 being I couldn't recognize any odor at all, any smell at all, to smells really strong, 5, which means that you would have a normal ability to smell the odor. So a lot of times, especially when we're just starting out, it's going to be a 0. It's just, that's where you're starting, but you need to have a starting point. So in this case, I would write down 0 to 5, whatever that interval is. And then I also need to evaluate for recognition. Was I able to recognize that that was a lemon? Most of the time, when you're just starting out and you have no ability to smell, you're not going to have any recognition. So 0 is no recognition of the smell, and 5 is a true recognition of the smell. In this case, I was smelling lemon, and I would say, oh yeah, that's definitely a lemon to me, is how I remember it smelling. So those are the 2 things you're going to jot down during the 20 seconds in between. And if you have extra time for those 20 seconds, then I recommend that you just kind of take a deep breath and get ready for the next set. All right, we're on to number 2. This is the next 20 seconds. I'm smelling eucalyptus. So again, I'm going to close my eyes, put the jar under my nose, and I'm just going to take little bunny sniffs for 20 seconds. Even if you can't smell anything, focus on the process of doing the bunny sniffs, getting that down. And you're going to do this for 20 seconds. Open your eyes when the 20 seconds are up. Cap on the jar, put it down, and then again, we're going to evaluate for strength and for recognition. So 0 to 5, how much of the odor did I even smell? Not even if you know whether it's eucalyptus or not, but just, can you smell anything? Do you detect any kind of odor? And then the second is evaluating for recognition. Again, from 0 to 5. Is this eucalyptus as I remember you? If you have extra time left in the 20 seconds, again, take a deep breath. And then we're going to go on to jar number 3. In this case, for me, this is rose. So I take the jar off, close my eyes for 20 seconds. Just going to focus in on the bunny sniff, just to get the process down for 20 seconds. When the 20 seconds are up, put the lid on the cap, put it down, and again, we're going to evaluate in our notebook or journal, wherever you're writing this down. You're going to evaluate for strength. So how much odor can you detect on a scale from 0 to 5? 0 being no smell, 5 being absolutely strong, and I can recognize the odor as you would with a normal sense of smell. And then secondly, for recognition, can you tell that this is the scent of rose on a scale from 0 to 5? And you're just going to write that down. If you have extra time, again, we're going to take a deep breath. And we're going to go to the 4th jar after the 20 seconds. We lift our 4th jar, take the cap off, got clove here, and we're going to put it under our nose, close our eyes, and do bunny sniffs. You notice how I'm not getting too close to the jar? You don't have to put it right under your nose. It's just basically, a good distance away. And you're just doing this for 20 seconds, focusing on getting the bunny sniffs down. No big inhales. No. We're just focused on bunny sniffs. And after 20 seconds, when the timer goes off, you open your eyes, put the cap back on, put the jar down, and we're going to record. Again, we're recording for odor strength. So how much odor were you able to recognize? And it might be different for different smells because they all have different volatility, these odors that you have in your jar. So some you might be able to recognize more than others, even if it's just a whiff or an air, something. If you can detect something, some kind of movement or scent of any kind, that's already maybe a 1. If you have nothing, if you just don't detect anything, Certainly that's a 0 for today, just for now. The more you do this, hopefully one day this will become a 1, then a 2, 3, 4, and eventually a 5. That's the aim. And then we're also going to check to see if we could recognize clove. What is your odor recognition from 0 to 5? 0 meaning I couldn't recognize it as clove at all. Or 5, yes, that's definitely clove, as I remember clove to smell. All right? And that's it. That's 2 minutes and 20 seconds, and you're done with the smell training. You can take a final breath, deep inhale, and you're done with your smell training.